次ラウンドでの戦いぶりとチームジャパンの強さについて、決勝ラウンドでの戦いはどうなるか、インターネット番組で議論されていました。
WBC highlights from the Tokyo Dome in Japan early this morning, and yes, stateside there was a sadness at Satriale's Delicatessen because Team Italy bowed out today. Mike Piazza's guys played well. Shohei Ohtani's second World Baseball Classic appearance, top of the second, no score, strikes out Vinny Pasquantino. 102.
Jesus.
Fastest pitch since 2018, bringing a little extra fuzz in his homeland. Kazuma Okamoto gave him some help offensively. 3-run shot. Look at the crowd there.
Yeah, that Tokyo Dome was rocking the entire time.
Top of the fifth, same score. Ohtani in trouble. And it's Dominic Fletcher, his teammate David Fletcher, plays with the Angels as a teammate of Shohei Ohtani. Little irony. Shohei was done after 4 2/3, gave up 2 earned, struck out 5. It's a 2-run game. Hey, the Italians have a pulse here. Bottom of the fifth, Japan still leading 4-2, 2 on for Munetaka Muranami. Ohtani would score on this wall ball. Japan takes 5-2 lead. Next batter back to Okamoto. He doubles to right, 2-run score, and now Japan's off to the races.
Man, Bo, look at those
They
at-bats.
use the whole field.
The
They use
whole
the whole field. They drive the ball.
We were thinking the same thing there watching this.
Get ready for this cat, Red Sox fans, because Boston paid a lot of money to import Masataka Yoshida. Solo homer, 8-2 Japan. To the ninth, it's a 9-3 lead. Italy down to their last out. Their last shot of espresso, their last finger sandwich.
Paint.
And Japan advances to the semifinal of the World Baseball Classic with a 9-3 victory. Pretty impressive was Team Japan throughout pool play in a very comfortable setting at the Tokyo Dome. It's the way the bracket sets up. Japan is the favorite to win the whole thing. And we've seen why after a very dominant pool play round. Team Japan has been a juggernaut. Impressive. We mentioned a moment ago, Bo, that they're the odds-on favorite to win the whole thing. It doesn't matter where you shop. Everybody really likes Japan to win a third title. Tell us why.
Well, it doesn't matter what language you're speaking. If you look in a dictionary of baseball right now, you're probably going to see a picture of the Japan baseball team because they are playing every facet of the baseball game the way it's supposed to be played. They built this roster to win a championship, and it all starts with Ohtani on the bump. You're going to get a front of the rotation arm. It's top of the zone fastballs. It's the split finger that runs down out of the zone. He's going to hit his spots. He sets the tone for this team. And when you start to get to their bullpen arms, you're going to start to watch the catcher here. You're going to see the catcher don't move. Defensively, they're going to make all of the plays. They're going to make the defensive plays. You're going to have to beat them. When they get into crucial situations, you're going to see they're able to get the ground ball double play. And when you start to look at their offense, it starts with Ohtani. That's a hanging breaking ball that he hits out of the ballpark. He can play long ball. He's also able to play short ball. They want to shift. He drags bunt. He gets on base. He sets the stage for his ball club. When you start to look at this team in its entirety, what you're going to get is the ABCs of baseball. Ohtani hits a double down the line here. The next batter comes up. He hooks a ground ball to second base. He gets him over. The next batter steps into the batter's box. This is the ABCs of baseball. Situational hitting. They play the game the way it's supposed to be played. And when Ohtani comes out of the game, here comes Mr. Darvish, who also can strike people out. They have pinpoint command. They catchers do a tremendous job of calling games. And again, defensively, they're going to make all the plays. When you get to the back end of this bullpen, it's power. And why is that so important? Because if they have a lead, they're striking people out. The ball is not going to get put in play. It's top of the zone, it's 100 miles an hour, and then it's the split finger falling off the table. And the biggest equalizer in this entire tournament is Ohtani. In a winner-take-all one game, this is the guy that the tournament is going to go through because Japan will have him on the mound.
Change-ups, slider, the split change, I should say, slider that he started to incorporate last year. There's so many weapons just with him. This from the Game Day MLB.
Yes, and you look at this tweet. When you talk about playing for your country and the Japan players, 46% of the households in Japan was tuned in to watch this classic. That means a lot to these players. This is more important to them than probably the World Series is probably to other players that play here in the U.S.
So let me get that right. Half the households with TVs
Yes.
in the country.
The other half was at the game.
Man.
The other half was in the Tokyo
You
Dome.
saw how that Tokyo Dome was.
Yeah.
It was
I mean,
rough,
the
man.
tweet
The other half was at the game.
The tweet was being cheeky, saying it was the Lars Nootbaar effect.
Right.
A lot more than that. To your point, it's vital in that country.
Yes.
It's much more than just a pastime. It's very important.
It's extremely important when you look at the Japan roster and them having their best players. That leaves a lot to be desired. Even when you start to look at the USA roster, and nothing against the players on the roster, but until the end of time, baseball starts and ends with pitching. And if you're the USA and you look at this board here and the number of pitchers, these are USA-born pitchers that are the top 9 pitchers in our game that are not on the USA roster. Imagine having 3 or 4 of these guys. It changes the whole dynamic of how Mark DeRosa would manage that team. Team Japan doesn't have this problem because they have their best players on their roster.
Wow. I mean, that speaks volumes here. It would be an equalizer if Dero had access to anybody on that list. He does not. So we talk about our players constituting an all-star game. I say our, meaning the American players. We're not as familiar with most of the players on Team Japan's roster, with some exceptions, of course. Japanese fans know that they've got a country filled with all-stars on that team as well.
They've outscored their opponents 47-11. That's just telling you that they're firing on all cylinders. They're pitching well, they're getting key base hits to drive in runs, and they're catching the baseball and preventing runs as well. And throughout that lineup, like you said, they have all-stars throughout that lineup. Guys that can hit power, guys with speed. They're leading the entire tournament in stolen bases as well. I mean, it's a team that's firing on all cylinders. The other thing also to think about too is Japan, they start their spring training a couple of weeks earlier than we do here in the States. So a lot of those guys have gotten 2 weeks worth more of reps and at bats than usually guys do here in the States. Right. So that kind of comes into play as well. I mean, you got to think about it. Every single WBC, they've been able to advance.
Yes.
They've also had to travel, right? With large chunks of airspace, right? We're not talking about Phoenix to Oakland here. This is a big deal, right? So they're coming from Tokyo, and they're not going to LA or San Francisco, where finals have been played in the past. They're going to Miami, which is an even worse trip for them. So there's that as well. Is that at all on your mind if you're Team Japan?
I mean, I think it's something that you're dealing with, but I don't think they're looking at it as any sort of disadvantage. I mean, they're loaded, they're confident.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're going to Miami, that's what they're excited about.
It doesn't matter where this team's going to play.
Yeah.
Good pitching, good defense, situational hitting. All that travels.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, once they get on the baseball field, this is going to be a tough team to knock off.
They'll get their sleep.
準決勝はメキシコとの対戦となりました。エンゼルスで大谷選手と仲の良いチームメイトのサンドバル投手が投げる予定のようです。大谷選手と水原一平通訳に連絡をするかとの質問には、現在彼らは友達じゃない、もう終わったよ、一時停止だ、とジョークを交え笑顔で答えていたようで、本人も相当嬉しいでしょう。